Hi, my name's Stefan Albin, and you're listening to Public Christianity. Let's get started.
Hello?
What's up?
Hey, Greg. Podcast time, man.
Right now?
Yeah, right now.
All right, hit me with one.
All right. What's up with the SBC?
Man, that's a great question. And what better person to answer that? Man himself.
And Greg.
Devin.
Oh, what's up?
I gotta ask the questions. What is up with the SBC? I'll just be that guy. Anytime you ask a question, I'll emphasize certain words. Re-ask the question.
What is up with the
Yeah.
SBC?
What is up with the SBC?
Man, it's a good question. What have you heard? What do you think is going on?
I mean, what do you think is going on?
How about this? I ask you the question, and you just ask it right back to me in a different connotation.
Exactly, just like that.
Yeah.
You want me to like interpret your question, ask it a different way, or just ask it with different inflection?
Just ask it with, you know what? Interpret it and ask it in a different way. That sounds fun.
Oh, this is gonna be difficult.
You asked me on the text, and I don't remember what you asked exactly.
No, I heard that they were voting on multicultural. Multicultural normative. No,
critical
not that.
race
What's
theory.
the other one?
You said
Yeah,
critical race
race
theory, I
theory.
think. Yeah.
Critical race.
And I said that was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it actually?
Yeah, they affirmed it 3 years ago with Resolution 9, and then maybe that was 2 years ago. No, there's a year there where we missed because of COVID. Orlando we missed. So yeah, 3 years ago. And then last year we tried to reverse it, but even with
Filibuster guy, yeah.
filibuster, man, every time. No, yeah, it was like that. I mean, it was some sort of it was the resolutions committee. So we had a bunch of messengers. I can't remember the number now. Who sent in and signed on to a resolution to essentially reverse the previous resolution on critical race theory, affirming it.
Affirming
That's
it again?
what we did. No, unaffirming it.
Oh, okay.
So, and even with, I think previously, I don't know the exact number on this either, but previously, you only get at most, 7 or 8 people to sign on to a resolution, and people who signed on to this resolution to reverse. I want to say 1,300. Don't hold me to that, but it was a significant amount of Southern Baptists who signed on to this, unprecedented amount. And
That's
so
good
then
word.
so you would think that the Southern Baptist Convention's resolution committee, who reads all the resolutions, and then who decides what resolutions come out to the floor of the annual convention. So they don't just put every resolution out there every year. They decide. They say, okay, we think same as that one, or we think that this one covers that one, so we're not things like that.
Right.
And they decided not to bring this one to the floor.
Oh my goodness, who's on that committee? That's bad.
whoever the president appoints. So, wait.
But that was with,
maybe the president appoints a committee on committees. Anyway,
was that with the bad guy? That was with the guy that didn't get.
That was Greer. That was J.D. Greer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't remember that was J.D. Greer in his third term of a two-term presidency. But,
third term?
But it was a two-term president, emergency powers and so forth. But that's a whole nother deal. But we're talking about, the Resolutions Committee didn't bring this to the floor, and so we actually had to have it brought to the floor. I don't remember. I don't remember if it's been a while, but I don't remember if it was presented as a new resolution, or if it was just if we voted you vote 2/3 to bring it out. I don't think that happened. I don't remember, but somehow a resolution came to the floor, but it was not the one that we submitted. I signed on to the original, right? But it wasn't the one we submitted. It was like it was something that kind of vaguely addressed the principle at hand, but didn't call out critical race theory by name. It was it just said any worldly ideology must submit to the scriptures, right? And so you're like, okay, but
I guess that's true.
It's true enough. It was a true and fine resolution, except for the fact that we weren't just dealing with any ideology. The previous, or 2 years prior, we had voted on a specific worldly ideology. We affirmed a specific ideology. So that's the problem I had with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah, so we needed to reverse course on a specific action that we had already taken, and that was the whole point of the resolution. So anyway, that's where that stands. And I think we tried to do that same thing again this year, but it wasn't addressed in this year's convention. So, yeah.
Man.
Yep.
Joey's need to get on it.
Yeah. And, Dr. Allen, Edmund Western, he preached a sermon at Southern Seminary a few months back, and he addressed critical race theory, and I was pretty thankful for that, because he announced it and essentially said that he thinks that most people are coming to their senses on that front, seeing that it's he says he doesn't see that as a long-term threat, and that's probably so, because you have seen some people become allergic to the term critical race theory, right, or CRT. Right? That's not a winning direction, and yet, I think that they're still operating under principles. So it's kind of like how Christians in general will follow the culture, but just at a lower, at a lesser extent. They're pretty much imitating the culture, but doing it poorly. You can think of Christian rock music.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so this is the same principle, but with critical race theory. Right. They're not willing to go all the way, but they have their own Christianized version of it. But the principle is still the same. They're still the same. They're still racializing everything, right? And so I think that's a big problem that's not going away.
Yeah. Trying to think. There's probably something similar that's happened in the past that was born out of something like this.
Yeah.
I don't know. Nothing comes to mind right away, but.
Well, you have the conservative resurgence of the 70s, 80s, even 90s, right?
There you go. That's a positive, at least.
Yeah, but there's the fact that it took so long for people to realize it isn't as much as a positive as the ultimate end result is a positive. I mean, we're talking about liberalism and, in this case, higher criticism creeping in piece by piece until you have things taught in the seminary. You know, professors are thinking, okay, it's okay for me to teach higher criticism in the seminary, teach that the scriptures aren't inerrant, that the scriptures weren't written by who we know they were written by, right? That they were a combination of various sources and that sort of thing. And so they were teaching that in the seminary class, and then they were going out and reassuring all the churches that were paying for these schools, reassuring them that they weren't teaching that. And it took a long time for Southern Baptists. Yeah, I mean, essentially, it took a long time for them to, for Southern Baptists to wake up and see the issue, and it seems like the same thing now. So that's a problem.
It seems similar. Yeah, because there's just enough lies embedded in whatever they're teaching that they think is truth. That it's kind of dangerous.
Well, if you're not if you're not grounded in biblical definitions, biblical ontology, right? Knowing how God created the world and how things reflect His created order. If you don't know those sorts of things, if you have a shallow theology, then what you tend to do is you take the theology you do know, and then you look to the world for definitions of things.
Yeah.
And so people are now saying, oh, I have a theology that tells me to love my neighbor or whatever, and they look to the world to explain what love is, or, and it's just, you're going to get something super, just way different, super different than what the scriptures say. So that's what's going on.
Yeah, that's spot on. Yep.
Yeah. I think there's a deep pragmatism in American evangelicalism, which I think the Southern Baptist Convention is kind of like the litmus test for the rest of American evangelicalism. And so pragmatism.
That's a good point. I mean,
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm seeing. I'm like, man, SBC is supposed to be the one. I feel like the one group that's dedicated to diving into what Scripture says about these topics, and yet it has not seemed that way.
Right. Well, I mean, the thing is, you can say all day that you're an inerrantist, but then you can just turn around and be a pragmatist in your actual, the actual way you do church. I just think it's so common. It's just so common that churches do whatever they think works, and usually it's like, what are corporations doing? What are big marketing groups doing? So you're just trying to do whatever the world does, right?
Yep.
And
yep.
Yeah, that's been going on for a long time, and we think. I remember being in seminary, and one of my professors saying to me, this has been, 6 or 7 years ago, and one of my professors said to me, man, he said, man, this is such an amazing thing to see the new Calvinist movement, right? To see such a resurgence in theology. And I remember hearing that, and I was like, wow, that's great.
Yeah.
But then you watch it, and now where are they? Where is like the Young Restless and Reformed group? Where are the new Calvinists? They're over there, hanging out with the social justice group, right? Or a lot of them are. And my theory is that wasn't a resurgence in deep theology as much as it was pragmatism, but for some odd reason, Calvinism was cool for a little while. It just became the cool thing for a while. And they were just trying to be cool. And when the next cool thing came, they jumped to that. But it never became a deeply rooted theology.
Can you explain? So I'm about to make a cut on a saw, by the way.
Oh,
but,
I'm about to pull into my driveway, so I got 3 minutes left on this.
All right, well, then I'll wait. Can you explain pragmatism? What does that mean?
Yeah. So pragmatism is essentially that the ends justify the means. So if you reach your desired end, then whatever means you use to get there were justified. And so if in the church context, if lights and fog machines and rock music and 15-minute sermonettes around topical issues, if that's what gets people in the church. Sermonettes, man. Little sermonettes. You got
that's good.
You got the little sermonettes.
Yeah. Sermonitas.
If that gets sermonitas, that's the Spanish.
That's a great one. That.
If you got if that gets people in the door, then there you go. You're justified. I mean, a lot of pastors do that. I mean, we saw at the convention this year, even Rick Warren, very much the ends justify the means, sort of a speech. He said, so you guys are going to remove me from the SBC because essentially they were ordaining women as pastors. And his response was, well, we had this number of baptisms, and we've sent this number of missionaries, and we've trained 1.1 million pastors or whatever kind of craziness. We sent this much money to the cooperative program. It's like, hey, look at the outcome. So
yeah, right.
But you can't do that because the Bible has not only given us a message, but it's also given us a means. Right? It's given us the whole thing, and we don't have the authority to do it any other way, right? If God has designed, if He's ordered His church in a certain way, and He's entrusted it to you as to steward, it's not up to you to say, I don't like the way you've set this up. I'm going to do it some other way. I try and get some more folks in the door. Well, no, that's not the point. In fact, honestly, we can't do anything, right? We can't get anybody in the door. We can't save anybody. We can't do that. We might be able to entertain them. We might be able to get them to come to a concert, but that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to get people saved, and we don't do that. God does that. And so, so numbers, pragmatic numbers don't mean anything to me. Because you can be faithful and have nobody, right? You can be the most faithful. You can be, so think of Jesus on His way to the cross, arguably His most faithful moment of obedience to the Father, and no one goes with Him. And so, sometimes faithfulness looks like that. And so if we're counting numbers and that's our measure of success, then we missed it. We missed the boat. We missed the point. So anyway,
Yeah, that's a good explanation.
yeah,
Or a good illustration.
yeah. Well, any closing thoughts before I pull into my garage and you cut your board?
What is the SBC?
It's the Southern Baptist Convention, and it's not a denomination.
There you go. But what is the SBC?
What is it? It's a collective of churches created to send missionaries and not to do political things like the Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission.
That's a good
Or
clarification.
yeah, I mean, talking about mission drift. Just send missionaries, and if you want, I mean, we can discuss training pastors, but come on, let's get back to that, what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, too much bureaucracy, too much bulk. You need to lose some weight.
That's right, man. Trim it.
Little
definitely.
Little weight loss. Yeah.
It's definitely an American church thing.
Right.
Do you think it's going to survive, the SBC?
It'll survive. Yeah. Will it be any good is the question. So that's my fear. So I am constantly thinking back to J. Gresham Machen and the Presbyterian denomination that he was part of. And, he fought against the liberalization. He wrote a book, Christianity and Liberalism, which is a good book. He fought against it, and yet at one point he decided it's time to leave. And so he left, but guess what? The denomination went on. It was just a liberal denomination, and it's still around today, right? So the question is, and that's the hard part, when you're deciding to leave or to stay. Okay, you get past the critical theory. Let's say we overcome the critical theory, and now we've got all these other issues, right? Women in ministry, that's another big one. Then you have the sexual abuse part. That's another one. You get past all of that stuff. Let's say you get all that resolved now, and you still have to deal with the pragmatism of the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Can you, and then if you can get past the pragmatism, then maybe you can trim out some of the excess and focus again on planting Baptist churches that are solid. But that's a long way. So I don't know. I don't know if that's doable. I know that anything's possible with the Lord, but whether you just gotta follow your conscience and decide is that worth fighting for. I'm more, at least for the past 2 years, I've been more on the side of retaining influence for the sake of mitigating the liberal influence that's there. But whether or not that's worth doing is another conversation as well. But in the end, the SBC is going to continue. It's going to survive. The question is it going to be a more liberal influence, or is it going to be more conservative influence? And that I don't know. The direction isn't positive right now. The current direction doesn't bode well for that. So
yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah, but then on the other hand, there could be. I've heard that there are lawsuits in the works, and because of some stuff that the the ERLC said in court, there could be liability issues, and if the SBC was to dissolve, that would be the cause. That would be the cause.
Okay.
The liability issues. Yeah, so I mean, if the SBC, if there's an authority structure in the SBC, which there isn't, right? This is bottom up. The SBC is bottom up. It's not a denomination. It's not top down. It bottoms up, man. Yeah, it's the good way. The SBC doesn't have control over churches, right? So
definitely.
The churches have control over the entities, but in a statement, the RLC said that that it was, in fact, it did have authority over the churches. And so what that would mean is that there is a hierarchy, that all the churches are one entity instead of autonomous local churches. And if it's one entity, then if there's sexual abuse in someone's church out in, wherever, North Carolina, then my church can in part be held liable, and the funds that we give to missionaries are going to, go to paying for that individual church's legal bills and that sort of thing. So if that kind of thing happens and the autonomy of the local church is dismantled, then I can see. Then it might dissolve. It might dissolve then, but I don't know. I don't know anything about that or where that's going exactly. So we just have to wait and see.
All right. Well, you can keep me in the loop on that.
I'll let you know.
I mean, yeah, our church is, as far as I know, our church is still part of the SBC. So,
right.
I like to know what's going on.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And even if it's not, I mean, it's still, the SBC is like a debate floor for evangelicalism, where you can see the different winds clearly, right? You can see where certain factions of evangelicalism are, and that's just the way that debate is done makes it conducive to that. So, yeah, you can still watch and wonder.
Yeah, I definitely want to stay in the loop. So. I just hear stuff from you and Grant, though, mostly. Maybe one of these days I can just go.
Come to New Orleans next year.
Is that where it's at?
Yep.
Well, maybe I'll think about it. I've always wanted to go to New Orleans.
All right, let's do it.
It's always on
there.
weekdays. That's the problem. Like the worst days.
Yeah, because it's good pastors.
For pastors,
right?
I know.
For pastors. Gotta get back.
Stinks.
In time. Yeah. Well.
All right, I'll think about it.
Cool. All right, man. Well, thanks for this PC talk.
Yeah, did you get it recorded?
I think so. We'll see. I'll let you know. As soon as I hang up, I should know.
Oh, you actually did record?
Episode 1. Yeah.
So you got me saying I'm about to saw something here, so.
Yeah, I got it on. This is real. It's still going right now. We're still on.
Oh, man, we're still live. We'll do it live.
We're still live. Yep.
All right. Well, hopefully you can edit that out.
Nope. It's all going in. This is raw.
Okay.
This is real. This is PC talk.
All right. All right, yeah, let me know what the next topic is. I'll ask the question.
Sweet. Looking forward to it.
All right. Me too. Well, have a good night.
See ya.
Yep. See
you
later.
too. Bye.
Hey, glad you could join us for this episode. You can find out more about what we do by going to theresurgence.site. That's theresurgence.site. Hope to see you back here soon for another episode of Public Christianity, where we apply all of Christ to all of life. Until next time.